minutes ago, but I couldn't figure out how to, well, probably some bug on my desktop client. Anyway, I was trying to talk, but my voice wasn't getting through. So finally, I moved to the mobile client, and now it seems to be much better. Okay, so speaking of the proposal, so my name's Eli Kanaki, and I'm with Russell. Russell is a strictly UX and UI design company. We've been around since 2003, which makes it, let's see, like some 15 years. And we're based in Canada, Toronto, namely. And we specialize in mobile and web apps, user interfaces for enterprise level and B2B applications. So we specialize in the complex workflows and very diverse user base. And this is all what we do. We don't do graphic design. We don't do anything else. We strictly focus on UX and UI. So speaking of the proposal, and the whole idea of this proposal started probably about a year ago when we started ourselves using Bitshares, and then we experienced the certain troubles registering, then using, and it's like many things in the UI make it different, make it hard for users to use the service to its fullest. And after using it for about a year, and after meeting the Graphene Lab about a couple of months ago, we came up with a joint proposal that we believe is going to greatly benefit the community and will make Bitshares much more accessible.
Welcome everyone to
like day-by-day users, as well as all the workflows can be greatly optimized, and the simplified, optimized, and the whole product can be much easier and user-friendly. So that was the idea behind the proposal. So the proposal itself consists of, I believe, three main parts. First is the research, then the design phase, and then the implementation phase. So let me tell you a few words about how I would like to structure each of these three parts. So the proposal usually starts from us discussing the goals, and we intend to make it all in public. That means we'll set up a special website, and we'll analyze the current UI. We'll put down any things that we believe needs to be improved or somehow adjust any issues. We'll make it public. We'll then after that we'll discuss it as much as we can. Probably we'll join a couple of weekly meetings like that, and if we are to start the project, then we can host weekly sessions with updates to the members of the community about the process. But the research starts from understanding, from making sure that everybody understands and we all agree on the goals. Then after that, we'll look into the users, we'll analyze the current user base, we'll probably analyze the stats and some logs. After that, we'll create user personas. And based on the personas, we will create information architecture and workflows. And then based on the workflows, we'll start creating screens, which are called wireframes. They're usually black and white representation of each screen. And when we do it, we use an online service called InVision, which allows us to connect all screens, and you'll be able, or any member of the community will make the link public, will be able to click through the prototype. It's still not going to be fully functional application, and not every function is going to work, but we will help you to envision the main workflows and experience them. So once this is done, then we usually have a session of testing. So we test, we'll come up with the user story, then we'll hire a couple of people as testees. We'll let them complete the task, and that can be volunteers from the community as well. We'll ask them to complete the task, we'll observe their behavior, then based on that, we'll make changes to the wireframes, and then as the final stage, as the final part of the design stage, we'll apply the look and feel, which is called skin, and then at the end of this phase, we'll have a prototype which is going to look and um, is going to have all the workflows almost exactly as the final product. And then, so this is the final phase of the design, and then after that, Graphene Lab will take care over, and they will create front-end code, backend, probably make some changes on the backend. I know there are a couple of features that are in the core engine but never been implemented, so I believe they are considering implementing them as well. And then, once this is done, we're going to have a new version of the Bitshares Exchange user interface, which is going to be much more intuitive, which is going to be much simplified, which is going to be much more device-friendly, platform-friendly, and will provide much better user experience. This is in a nutshell. So, any questions? Hello?
Can you guys hear me? Sorry about that. Okay, so it shows here, it's bitshares.rossel, which is ROSSUL.com. Everybody can go there and see the proposal, and at the bottom you guys, or in the middle, you guys have the project milestones before you have the pricing and everything.
Of course.
So it looks like August, September, October, November, December. Okay, so we've got 3 months that you guys think that this should be, 3 to 4 months that you should have it done, somewhere around.
Yep, that's right.
And is this something that you guys feel like pretty comfortable about, given your experience?
More than comfortable, actually would really like to to be part of that redesign project, as well as we have a great experience with financial industry. We designed interfaces for JP Morgan. We just last week we started our negotiation with Huobi, and you probably know this is Chinese stock exchange. We designed for numerous banks, PNC Bank in America, Scotia Bank, and RBC Bank in Canada. We designed online and mobile interfaces for online banking. So we feel pretty comfortable that we have a lot to contribute to Bitshares community, and that we would be happy to do so.
Do you guys have any links to those previous projects that people could look at and say, "Wow, if this is what Bitshares looks like, I'm in"?
We probably will not be able to show how Bitshares will look like, because that would be a result of the design process. It's going to take us half a year roughly. But we can, everybody is welcome to visit rossol.com/portfolio, and then we have many examples, those that we can show in public, because the financial sector, as you perfectly know, it's sometimes it's sensitive, and we design for numerous hedge funds, and we have NDAs, so we can show that. For example, JP Morgan, we cannot show in public. I'll put it in our portfolio. But if anybody of you specifically interested, I'm fine to schedule a dedicated session and show you what we've done for them, but we'll not be able to put it on a public link.
And kind of what I was really wanting to see is, you guys are pretty much what you were talking about with regard to the portfolio option.
Of course.
They can go see what some samples of what it might look like, or what past projects that are open for anybody.
Of course.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, we've been around for 13 years, and we completed a total of, I think we almost at 500 projects. So, we feel very confident, and we have, by the way, are you familiar with Clutch? B2B review website? service. We have, I believe the link is now in our proposal, but Clutch conducts independent reviews of B2B oriented companies. And the way they do it, we have a profile on Clutch, and we give them contact details of our customers, and they conduct an independent interview. They don't have any say in that. They actually schedule it, and they talk to our customers for about 30, 40 minutes, and based on that, they publish their review. So, and our score is really high. So it's mostly it is 5-star. I believe it's like 4.98 or something like that.
And under the project costs, you guys have design, which is research, right? Mm-hmm. You have design of the desktop version and the mobile version. Mm-hmm. UI components and project management, obviously, all that goes together into a price tag of $116,820. So $116,820.
That's right.
The second half, which is the half that a lot of times people forget, you got the research and the documentation, and that's been something that we've all had. Thankfully, we've fixed a lot of that stuff to a degree over time, but as a decentralized project, the documentation has been something that it would be nice to have more of, so it's nice to see that. A development implementation of primary interfaces, transfer of existing object, development of new functionality. What new functionalities do you think that might need to be added? Do you guys have any way of giving us some examples on that?
The new Dennis, go ahead.
My name is Dennis. My English is not so good, but I'll try to explain. My name is Dennis. I'm CEO of Graphian Lab, and you should know our main partners. It's called Rudix and Blockchain team. We started from this team, and maybe 1 year ago understand that we can develop something because we have new developers. And our first project was Karma that made on Bitshares fork, P2P lending. And after a year, we understand that we want to work for a community with projects that already exist and already work like Bitshares, because we all love Bitshares. And what about new features? Actually, think about something like stealth transaction. We saw that from 2016, I think nobody tried to do it, like usual stealth transactions. And we already made it for one project, but we can't talk about it. But we know how to work, what we should do with it, and we have a few ideas of what to do with not only front end and back end, and maybe some course features, because the main part of our team is core developers, and we all, not all actually, not me, but all our developers work on strictly confidential projects for governance, and now they want to work for blockchains. And I think that we will do our best for it.
So you guys are going to be able to offer certain extra things. Like, could you give any, like, just a couple extras as far as that? What you think, like, for instance, one thing that I've thought about for some time is, like, there are certain things like, what if I want to send to multiple people? You know, that would be.
Oh, yes.
Things like these are questions that I guess I'm just getting to because they're like, you know what I mean? Like, this is the type of thing I think would very much help. But I know that there are many other things that I'm sure you guys have probably identified. So I just kind of wanted to maybe ask on that one, and then, of course, if you have any.
I totally agree with you with multiple transaction for a lot of people because it's much cheaper and very useful for business. And as we see, we want to integrate some special features, but some features we will ask community to bring to us maybe some ideas of what they really want, and we will do it. I think we will do it. About multiple, yes, we think about stealth. We think about API nodes. Try to do it better for some explorers and wallets and so on. So we have a lot of ideas after years working on Bitshares because there are some problems that we could check and fix it. And we in contact with some core developers, our core developers in dev chats, and maybe you remember in this spring, Karma, our partners and projects, made some issues about Graphene that have maybe some problems, that they think that it have some problems, and some of them really needed to fix, and we have idea how to fix it, but in Karma we already we wouldn't do it on Karma because we don't work with them now, but in the chairs I hope we will have it.
Well, I think that this is
yes, I think about.
Okay, so real quick, this would be open sourced after completion. Is that correct?
Yes, of course. So totally open source.
So it would be available for all the different DEXs that want to build on Bitshares to be able to use this code to build their own DEX, or to have their own front end interface for that DEX, rather.
I think it will be totally open source because.
Yep.
I don't know.
I just want to make it clear for the newbies that
it would be scratched, made from scratch, and it will be open sourced. So we wouldn't use today's. We will use, I don't know how to say English, what we have now, and we will make it from scratch.
Well, I want why it does look like you guys have some chops in the front end development skills from the portfolio I'm looking at, and it even says that you guys were ranked among the top in Canada.
Yeah, we are.
So I will say that I really am pumped about you guys bringing this up personally. I think that for and it being open sourced and being available for anybody to build on afterwards, and having documentation and having everything in a nice, sweet little package.
Right.
I don't know how I say anything bad about it, to be honest with you.
I can even tell a little bit more. So the way we work, we're going to design a components library. That means that is going to be used by Graphene Lab, but that means down the road, if any of the community developers or any company would like to expand the functionality of the Bitshares or add some additional features, they will be able to easily use the same library, and the library will consist of some guidance how to use and work with these different components. So me personally, I've been running a software house for many years. So one of the things about Russell that sets us apart from other design companies, we really think and operate as much more as a software house as opposite to a design agency. And that means we use Jira, we work on sprints, and when we design exactly with the same mindset as the any user interface element is going to be coded. And our files are structured the same way, CSS and HTML. And that allows us to really we really be efficient in our work with transferring the designs to the developers, and then the results are usually pixel perfect. And everything that we design can be easily expanded. So we sort of establish a base, and then that base is going to be good at least for the next 7-10 years.
So there can be further development based on it that
Correct.
It's open sourced. It's easy to build on top of.
Correct. You will not run into any dead ends, like, things such as, well, we need to introduce another feature, but really don't know where to put it, because when we design, we establish a user interface and interaction logic. And then following this logic, for any developers, it is going to be crystal clear if they need to add a new feature, where this feature is going to go. And it's going to be crystal clear for users to find it. This is the whole trick. Like when we talk inside company, we say that to win the users, we need two things. We need to be, when they use the software, they need first to, with the software, to be more productive than without it. And they must feel smart about themselves. And this is, if we achieve this too, that's it. All users are ours, and the UX is really positive. The second one, which is feel smart about themselves, it's a bit tricky, but it's very achievable if you think about it. So, and that boils down to things such as we should prevent users from making mistakes. We should leverage the existing mental models and leverage on the previous experience. And that means we have to put first where the users expect these features to be. And then they put all that in a nicely packaged, really appealing user interface, and they start interacting, they will feel that it's easy, that UI is clean, really easy to find what they're looking for. And if somebody from their family acts in the UI, it's still going to be easy for them. And all that constitutes about good feeling about oneself, because they feel smart using it's all easy, they don't do mistakes, they can achieve tasks 5 times faster than they used to be. That's exactly what UX is about. Does it make sense?
Yeah, I know from my own experience, I've had to teach people who I know are technically inclined to use Bitshares. So coming from the standpoint of somebody who's had to teach people, and obviously from somebody who's learned myself from me how to use it, it's one of those things where I cannot disagree with any of this. I think it's one of the most important things for people to feel comfortable and confident when they're using this tool, especially considering that it's their money that they're going to be looking at holding on there.
Of course.
Now, real quick, one question that I would have is, it says here in the research that it shows the technical functional requirements, competitors and field study, analysis and interview, user research and personas. And that adds up to approximately $12,000, $12,100 actually, right? Or 13,100. So would there be any way of having that paid for first, and like having milestones where they're each paid for in the case that the community might want to see some progress first, or see something like that, like in the research phase, what you guys have come to conclude? You know what I mean? Like I see it as like analysis and interviews. Those are going to be like, that's going to be analyzing and asking people what needs to be improved, what they think are improved, things like that.
Yeah, to a certain degree. Allow me to elaborate on that. So, to distribute, when we, like how we usually structure research, we distribute questionnaires, and we ask users and stakeholders to fill them out. And we have a stakeholder questionnaire, we have user persona questionnaire, etc. So, and then we analyze the responses, and then based on that, we schedule interviews. Now, when you talk to potential user base or to stakeholders, it's really important what to ask. And we make sure we never ask things such as what would they like to do, how would they like it to be designed or function, etc., etc. Because that creates random answers. Asking how is really not that productive. What we focus on what right now is hard for users. What are the pitfalls, right? What upsets them? What bugs them? What is annoying? What are repetitive tasks that we can improve? That sort of stuff. And then based on that, we can offer the solution. So, and yeah, speaking of the teaching experience, I teach UX at University of Toronto, and one, like, I'd say about quarter of my class is about the research, and there are many different methodologies how we can do that. But here in Russell, during the last 7 years, we actually created an cost-efficient and I'd say relatively fast way to figure out the problems and come up with really cost-effective solution to these problems.
Have you guys gone over the GitHub at all yet and seen some of the issues that have been posted there?
Yeah, and there are plenty of issues, and some of them more important, some of them less important. But it's well, to be frank, there is lots of things that we can improve, could be improved, whether by our team or somebody else. It doesn't matter. But the current UI and current workflows, they can be greatly optimized.
Sure. Well, I like the proposal. The only thing that I'm thinking is how it might help you guys. To maybe be able to show some things that you guys like. Maybe do that initial stage where you get the community's input on things that need to be fixed and improved upon too.
Sure. The only problem, the only potential problem that I see, this research phase, it will result in certain documentation, Excel files, and certain analysis, right? So it will not have anything visual. Visual starts after that. So once the research is done, and once we understand who we design and what we design, and once we agreed the success metrics for the project, once we all know and publish documents about how we're going to measure success, what are the important metrics, what are we going to measure, number of clicks, well, I'm not sure we need to go as far as eye fixations, but say workflows or certain time spent on certain tasks. Once we all agreed on what we would like to achieve, after that, we'll start crafting workflows, then based on, and workflows is still going to be diagrams, which might be quite hard to read for general public. And then once we design workflows, after, and we move on to the actual wireframes, which are layouts of the screens, and we start connecting them. Here is when you start in the results of the research process, of the information architecture process. But before that, it's all going to be just documents. But we're fine to share my canvas in public and share any stage that community might find useful to have a look at.
Well, I'm very interested in it personally, but that might not really carry enough weight to do much. So I guess what I would say is, in my opinion, to increase the chances of getting it, which is I would want to increase your chances of getting it if this is indeed what you guys do and it looks great. If that's the case, and I have no reason to believe otherwise, I would say bringing it, maybe being able to be charged for that initial phase where you identify those things and maybe put those on a list to show people, and actually, if the community gave that feedback, that gives them, that makes them a little bit more invested in it already, because now you're doing, you're asking them to vote for something that they wanted in the first place. You know what I mean? So that's my opinion. Obviously, take it or leave it, but I think that might help a lot in the community and also help them to kind of understand what they're going to get out of the deal.
Exactly, and like what you say makes perfect sense. So yeah. That's a really good idea.
Oh, ask my wife. Occasionally I have them. Occasionally. I say that they're always there, but well, thank you guys for joining up for discussing, and I'm glad that you got your mic working. This was going to be a short hangout, but what you guys have brought up is, I think, something extremely important for us to look at. And I liked the other thing that we were talking about last week with the hackathon kind of thing for the mobile wallet. This comes with, I'm not going to lie, this comes with all those things and a mobile wallet too, and it's from a company that's got a very strong track record for amazing user interfaces. I just don't see how we turn this down. That's my take.
Right, and then last week, what company is that? Hello?
Excuse me? Are you talking
Yeah,
Russell, the portfolio that you guys,
okay.
Graphene Lab that's working together? Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, is this going to be, this is a partnership between Graphene Lab and Russell, correct?
Yeah, Graphene Lab will take care of the coding and integration with the backend engine, as well as crafting new features. And obviously, before we start designing, we'll discuss these new features. So we'll design it. We'll design workflows, the user interface, interaction, the overall user experience, and then they implement it in a nutshell.
Yeah, Talkinator says for the whole thing is very reasonable. I cannot disagree. I think this is something that. But what really makes me pumped up about it is that it's going to be open sourced and that people will be able to easily build on top of it because it has a solid foundation. And I think that's one of the most important things that we do building any house, right?
Yep, that's the point.
So to me, I think this is one of those things with potential exponential returns. I like it. Yeah, it will run in desktop too, Fav. At least from what you guys said on your site.
Right.
That is correct.
Yeah. And one more reason actually established a partnership for this project, mostly out of the belief that everybody has to do what they do best, and Russell is a UX design company, right? We don't try backend code, and all our designers, they actually graduated designers with diploma. Me myself, I have master's degree in applied arts, and then another designer she also has master's degree, and third one also master's degree, and then a couple of BAs. But we're all designers. We're not developers turned designers. We spent all our lives designing. And I started designing for I've been designing for it's not even the right word. Let's say for some 30 years, and I've never done anything else in my lifetime designing. I really love it. And then, but we have Graphene Lab that is exactly in the same shoes, but on the development side. Do what they do best, and we do what we do best. And we're not going to cut any corners on this project, as so many others for that matter.
Fab has one question for you here. He said, "Are you aware of the security needs? Like, you will not be able to cross-load scripts and etc."
This is for Dennis, right?
Yep, I think so. Our developers actually work only for high security projects, so I think we will do everything good with security, and if there will be some problems on something that we can't understand, someone will ask people who know it, because we do it for community, not actually for only one or for us.
If I may, I think in the beginning of the project we can identify a couple of stakeholders from the community that can have certain knowledge in certain areas, and then any decisions security-wise as well, we can run by them and make sure that everybody's on board with what's going to happen.
I think it's a part of research that would be.
Well, personally, I look forward to it. I hope that you guys will come back and give us some updates and continue letting us know and informing people if you don't get the votes to proceed with this. I personally, whether you do or not, honestly, I'd love people to know that too. But I really love what you guys are planning on doing. I think it's very important that we have something that's professionally designed and just knocks it out of the park and acts as a solid foundation. Everything we've done has been pretty good considering that it's been a decentralized thing. But if you build on a decentralized platform more easily, which if this does what you guys are saying it will, and that's the case, I think that's exponential returns. That's my take on it. Making easy for users, that's even more exponential returns. I don't see how we go wrong on that. You obviously have my thoughts on it. There might be people who think it's too much and might want to see exactly, or have input on what needs to be changed or fixed before paying the full thing. But other than that, that's the only thing I can think of that might be something that really gets in your way. I don't see anybody disagreeing with this proposal. It really carries a lot of weight when you look at your portfolio. Me.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you everybody for joining up. How would people contact you guys if they would like to reach out to you?
We have a contact form in our proposal website, which is hosted on the bitshares.russell.com. And yeah, we had some DNS issue this morning, but it has been fixed and it's going to be fully accessible in probably a matter of a couple of hours. We just need to waiting for DNS to spread. And then there is a contact form, and anybody can fill out the form, ask a question, and we'll do our best to reply ASAP.
Okay, so use the contact form on bitshares.rossul.com, and Rossul is spelled ROSSUL for those.
That's right.
Okay, and you guys, Ken Code is asking if you have a Telegram group.
Yeah. I have my own personal Telegram, but I think I will open a sort of company account. We don't use it internally; we use Slack mostly. So I'll open a Russell Telegram account and post it in this chat, I guess.
Sounds good. Well, thank you for joining up, and thank you for everybody who participates in these events. Make sure, everybody, that you take the information that comes here openly and share it to people, because you are the source of helping to distribute this knowledge and the information that you gain from these. So if you're listening to this after the fact, or you're joining up live, feel free to share our content when we post it. Let people know. You can even download and edit it if you want to. It's available for being downloaded and edited, so you can even cut out parts that you think are important and post them under your own profile or whatever you want to do. I just want to have a place where, unlike in most places in crypto where you have to pay to talk about what you want to do, I think we can do better. I'm not saying that we can't make money for doing this stuff, but I think that we can make it in better ways. Now, with that said, thank you guys very much for attending. Thank you for being around for all this time since the beginning of Bitshares. Things are getting interesting indeed, and I look forward to watching what wakes up to what we've known for 5 years. Have a good one, guys. We'll see you at your party.
Okay, so thank you very much for having us. Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys, and please sign up and join up anytime. I would love to hear more about this. This really has me interested and pretty pumped up, because I heard them talking about discussing with some top design agencies in the past, the Rudex guys, and I'm glad to see that it's being brought to fruition now. Well, with that said, guys, thank you everybody, and we'll see you guys next week.